Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Chris, and today I'm going to be going over my top 4 exercises for my pre-run warm-up. So a few things I want to cover first about warm-ups and what I recommend active versus passive. We want to be utilizing an active warm-up strategy, to kind of prime our brain to be talking to the muscles and movements that we're going to be using in the activity that we're about to participate in. So for running, we want to be definitely looking at activating our core, looking at activating our hip flexors, our glutes, and also adding a little bit of rotation because that's really important for our running stride and being able to keep our running efficient from right to left. Couple other pieces here too. Often I hear from a lot of runners asking me questions about should I do stretching before my run. Stretching is not as effective pre-run. It can be utilized as a post-run support system. But passive stretching, such as holding, your quad stretch for 30 seconds or dropping your heel off of a curb for a static hold, actually can increase risk for injury through those tissues because that tissue is being stretched for a while and then it actually has some laxity in the system temporarily. So if we immediately then go into an activity like running right out of the gate, that tissue is not primed and ready for that type of load. It's actually more into a recovery mode instead of an active mode. And so that can actually cause a risk for injuries instead of preparing the body to be successful in the activity we're about to do. So any passive stretching, hold that for a post-run session. Anything warming up for a session, I want it to be dynamic. I want it to be increasing blood flow and circulation to the body, and it should look similar to some of the movements that you are about to participate in. That's the best way to know, am I warming up in a way that's going to be effective for what I'm about to participate in. So my 4 exercises that I like to do right out of the gate are number 1, squats with a heel lift. So I'm preparing my legs for that activity and also that heel lift to start to get my calves and things ready for that continuous turnover of my feet. The other one I like to do is a reverse lunge and then driving straight up to a single leg hold, because when we're running, we are continuously turning over our feet and we are in a single leg stance position continuously. So priming that for the body. My other one is actually adding some rotation to the system and standing on one leg. So we're doing kind of our rib cage rotation, but also challenging our ability to balance on one leg and getting some good feedback into our feet and our ankles to prepare for that running activity. And then finally, I like to come into a static lunge and actually do rib cage rotations there. So my pelvis and my lower half is having to stabilize, but I'm waking up some of my obliques and I'm also getting some good rotation through the upper half of my body that's going to be necessary for really being able to drive through my arms to propel my body forward. Running is not just a lower half activity. Even though the legs get a lot of attention and usually more credit for our ability to run well, that ability for that lower half to run well is also directly impacted by our ability to rotate well up above. So if we have an asymmetrical rotation pattern, then that can definitely affect the efficiency down below, and that can also create issues of low back, hip, and ankle things further down the chain if that is left unresolved. So we want to always be addressing some rotational elements in our torso to be able to help the whole chain move effectively. So let's run through those 4 exercises I just listed. So first, I like to bring my feet hip distance apart, and I'm just flowing through this to start to get some good blood flow and start to wake up the muscles that I'm going to be using in my run. So I just come down, breathing up, and I'm doing about 10 or so exercises, or I should say reps rather, of each exercise just to warm up. So it's not meant to tax my system, it's just meant to get my brain and my body going and getting them to warm up. And so now I'm going to add that heel lift. So I'm driving down, popping up onto the bottom of my toes. I'm going to turn profile so you can kind of see a little bit better here. So I'm coming down, driving up, giving myself that moment to balance, really having to use my core so that I don't keep falling forward, but getting ready for that activity as I go. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, reverse lunge with that single leg step up. So we want to pair our arms like we do with running. So if I'm using my left leg in front, I'm going to step back, opposite arm in front, I'm going to drive to stand tall. I step back. As I'm driving up, since I'm having my left leg in front, I'm thinking about that left glute driving me tall and thinking of really sticking that landing through my left heel and stacking my rib cage over my pelvis over that left heel. So doing about 10, like I said, on each side. So profile view here, coming down, exhale, driving up, really working on organizing that whole body over that leg, because we're gonna need to do that as we run. Next one, we wanna come into working on that rib cage and standing on one leg. So I'm gonna stand on my right. I want you to march here, and then you're going to rotate through your rib cage. This exercise is deceivingly challenging. You will notice a lot of good mobility through your foot that's having to interact with the ground, and really making sure that as you're doing so, you're getting some good rotation here, but having to stabilize through the pelvis, okay? And hello to my cat that's joining the video. This is Emmy, for all of you who would like to know. Hello. She's gonna help us with our lunges. So now, final exercise, and we're gonna come into that lunge. I'm gonna hold that lunge, and then I'm gonna work on that rotation like I mentioned. So I'm gonna show it from the front, and then I'll show it from the side so you can see both angles. So you're just gonna pick one leg in front, come back into that lunge position, okay? I'm gonna place both arms straight in front. The leg that's in front is the direction that you're gonna rotate towards. So I line up here, since I have my right leg in front. I'm gonna inhale here, exhale, and I'm gonna rotate, and I want you to try to look to that hand and rotate back as far as you can without letting your pelvis move in the process. So imagine you have two headlights on the front of your pelvis and it's pointing straight forward. This angle should not change while this angle does. So we're holding here, we're opening to the side. I recommend doing 5, switch the legs, do 5, and then repeat 2 rounds on each. So I'm gonna go to the side here so you can kind of see profile view. So again, I'm coming down into my lunge here, holding my lunge, really driving into this front glute. The front leg is the side that you're gonna rotate towards. So you're gonna exhale as you rotate, look back all the way, coming back to center. So this is a good balance exercise, but it's also a good way to notice if you have a significant asymmetry of rotation right to left. And our ability to normalize and equalize, rather, that rotation is really important for all of our other running mechanics. So again, doing a set of 5 on the other side, and then repeat that 2 times through. And then from there, I'm out the door and I'm off for my run. So give this a go, cycle through a few exercises. Like I said, it doesn't have to be this exact set, but this is a set that I like because it warms up a little bit of everything. I get my hip flexor, I get my calves, I get my glutes, I have some balance work, so my core has to be participating, and then also we're getting some rotation. So all of the pieces that my body's gonna need when I hit the road or the trail. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Give it a go. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, and I'd love to know which one of these warm-up exercises you love the most. So drop them in the comments below so I can answer any questions you may have, and I hope that this might give you a little bit of an edge for your next running warm-up.